Eminem is one of the more polarizing figures in modern hip-hop, both for what he's done in music and outside of it, but something that can't be touched is his legendary discography. Well, sort of. You see, Eminem has some of the best albums in all of rap and hip-hop, but he also has some notable duds. So today, I'm going to rank every single Eminem album from worst to best, while also giving you the best and worst songs from each album. Also, I'm not going to include Infinite on this list, really because it was before Eminem became Slim Shady, before he really became Eminem. It's not on streaming, it's not really counted in the Slim Shady Eminem persona discography. I know I sound like a huge nerd right now, but we'll just put it as an honorable mention here. So with all that out of the way, let's just get right into it. You all probably saw this coming from a mile away, and look, there's nothing wrong with putting a bunch of pop features on an album, on a rap album even. I mean, Kanye did it on Graduation, and that's his most popular album to date, and I'm sure there's plenty of other examples of rappers doing this well and working out. It just doesn't mesh well here on Revival, at all. There's also nothing wrong with political activism on an album as well. I mean, Kendrick's done it like, what, a million times at this point, and it's worked out really well. Can't say the same for Revival. Eminem's rantings about Donald Trump and the political and economic state of the world in 2017 just sound like an old man yelling at nothing. And the album is bloated. There's 19 tracks on this thing, which is absolutely unnecessary, and the worst part about it all is you have to sit through 17 painfully mediocre tracks just to get to the two good ones right at the end of the album with any sort of serious and realistic tone. The best song on this album is A Rose. One of the two previous tracks I just mentioned, A Rose sees Eminem talking about his 2007 overdose, which almost cost him his life. It's a really great song that just shows what potential this album really had. The worst song on this album is Heat. The competition for this spot was pretty fierce, but in the end, it had to go to Heat. This is the straight up definition of lyrical spiritual miracle rap, along with a terrible hook sung by the man himself. To top it all off, the flow on this thing is dog shit, and the re-listen I did on this song for this video is probably the last time I will torture my ears with this song. This entry is not a surprise for this list either, as the fourth installment in the Slim Shady catalog, this album, Encore, did not live up to its predecessors at all. Despite having some high quality tracks, this album is pretty shit. The best song on this album is Like Toy Soldiers. This song shows that Eminem did go through some growth and maturing during the Slim Shady era, even though it's stuck on an album like Encore. It kinda shines through the pile of shit that it's trapped in. There's a more serious and reflective tone on this song, and it sorta serves as a nice break from the rest of Encore. I really like the direction that M went with this one. The worst song on this album is Puke. Not only is the song itself terrible, the intro to this track physically makes me nauseous every time I have to listen to this song. Look, I get the premise of the track. He's talking about Kim, which he's done a million times, but this song is just, not only is it bad, it physically makes me sick every time I have to listen to it. And you know what? Props to this song, because that's a pretty big feat. The surprise album that served as Eminem's response to the giant wave of hate he got for Revival, Kamikaze is better than its predecessor, but that's not saying much at all. It's a fine project. I mean, it's not great or anything. I guess it's okay. He does go after a lot of other rappers on this project, and he calls a majority of them mumble rappers, which, once again, old man yelling at the clouds. And while we're on the subject, I would much rather listen to mumble rap than whatever the fuck Eminem ushered in with all this lyrical spiritual miracle bullshit he came up with, which we'll get into in a couple albums. The best song on this album is Lucky You. I like the opposite directions that M and Joyner Lucas did with both of their verses. I think it really complements each other really well. Look, do I really need to explain myself here? Look, I get it. When this first came out, I actually thought this song was pretty fucking hard. It was pretty fucking cool, but I can't stand that grainy ass hook. Shut the fuck up. I feel like this album could be summed up pretty much in one clip, so I'm just gonna take a quick break from yapping and just play the clip.
Cancel me all you want. I don't think you should be on this freaking darn game if you don't have a microphone. You can cancel me for that, I don't care. It's just my opinion. Go ahead and cancel me.
No one gives a No one said we was canceling you.
If you don't have a microphone, you shouldn't be playing the game in the first place. That's just my opinion. Go ahead and cancel me. I don't care.
Yo, Turtle, shut the up, bro.
It's just an opinion. You think I care if I get canceled over an opinion that simple? I don't.
Dude, we get it. Please, Turtle, shut the up.
In all seriousness, this isn't the worst thing ever, and there are some pretty good songs on this project that make it a little bit redeemable, but there's not much outside of that. The deluxe is pretty good though. The best song on this album is Guilty Conscience 2. I don't know what it is about this song, but I really like the back and forth between the Eminem and the Slim Shady personas. It's a great concept record, and I really like the fact that we got a sequel from one of Eminem's most unique songs off of the Slim Shady LP. Some of the content matter doesn't really age the best, but I think that's the point. The worst song on this album is Road Rage. This song sounds like Eminem just throwing things at a wall and seeing what sticks in terms of what will get the most outrage. It comes off as corny more than anything. The flow that Eminem uses on this song also reeks. I mean, it's okay. There's enough here to hold your attention, and Eminem does go the more traditional route with his Slim Shady persona, but I don't know, this feels like the definition of average or mediocre. The best song on this album is Marsh, a standout track on a double album, great flows, and even better production. I feel like the chorus could have used a little bit of work though, it's not the best. The worst song on this album is Stepdad. This will be a recurring theme once we get higher on this list, but shock value can only take a song so far. Marshall. When this album first released, it was very poorly received, but I feel like as time has gone on, this album has aged better and better among the hip-hop community. Although it's not peak or prime Eminem, it's serviceable, which, you know, can be okay sometimes. The best song on this album is Bad Guy. Might just be me, but I'm a sucker for storytelling, and to see the story that we got introduced all the way back in Stan on the Marshall Mathers LP, to see that story finally conclude, that was pretty awesome for me. Obviously, the best and the worst on these lists are going to be filled with my own personal biases, but I love finally getting the ending to, I guess, a decade-long story. The worst song on this album is Rap God. Is it a great showcase of technical ability? Yes. Is it also okay to say that this song stinks? Yes. The cesspit of spiritual, lyrical, miracle rap that this fucking song has spewed onto us over the past decade is irredeemable, to say the least. This album holds a special place in a lot of people's hearts and really just a good successor to Relapse. All in all, this is one of the better albums that Eminem has put out post Slim Shady trilogy. The best song on this album is Seduction. I like the flows that Eminem brought on this song. It really brings the whole thing together, and the production is great too. The worst song on this album is Session 1. It's not the worst song in the world, but you know, I feel like no one really stood out on any of their verses on this one. It just, no standouts. It was just okay, you know? I feel like this is the last album we got from M in his prime, like prime Eminem, and although Encore was pretty shit, this was a good bounce back album. We really saw Eminem just get back to his bag on this one. A good performance overall for Eminem. We really find Slim going back to his old ways of shock tactics and everything of that sort, but it works, unlike Encore. The best song on this album is Bagpipes from Baghdad. I don't know, I kind of really liked this song when I first listened to this album a few years ago, and my opinion really hasn't changed since. The worst song on this album is Insane. Just listen to the first 30 seconds of whatever the fuck this is, and you will understand where I'm coming from. Shock value can only go so far. Where it all began, and if this is how you're gonna start your career with a bang, this is the way to do it. This is the album that put Eminem on the map, and it began a long laundry list full of controversies. But when the dust settled and it was all said and done, the dude made a classic. The best song on this album is Guilty Conscience, one of Eminem's most classic songs. The back and forth between M and Dre, the different predicaments we find our characters in this song in, It's just fucking fantastic. The worst song on this album is I'm not saying that. M sounds like he's bored on this one, and you can really tell. And you know, the toilet humor, it can only go so far. You know, it just a little too much on this one, a little too much. One step up from its predecessor, the Marshall Mathers LP is a classic with no skips in my eyes. I have pretty fond memories, you know, listening to this album, trying to get through work or just going on a drive. There's just something special about it. I don't know, the charisma that Eminem displays, the character, the energy. It's something special. This album is also filled to the brim with some of Eminem's most classic and special records. It's insane. It's a goldmine. The best song on this album is The Way I Am. I love everything about this song. The pure emotion and rage that Eminem displays on this song, it's just powerful, and this is back when Eminem could do a hook without completely grating my ears off. The worst song on this album is None. You know, it's sort of a trademark for me at this point to have an album with none for this category on really all of my discography rankings, but I really don't think this album has a weak song on it, so I'll just label this category for now as not available. This is one of the best hip-hop albums of all time, and every time I listen to it, it always grabs my attention. This is a near flawless album in my eyes, and this is everything you want out of an Eminem album. The storytelling, the hits, the emotion, it's all here. The best song on this album is Cleaning Out My Closet. There are a lot of bangers and flashy songs on this album, but I wanted to go in a different direction for the best song. There's a lot of depth and emotion tied to this song, and I feel like I can't really do it justice. You just gotta listen to yourself to understand. The worst song on this album is Drips. I respect Obi Trice, but I'm not gonna lie, his feature on this song kinda ruins the entire track for me. It's very specific and very detailed about some of the intimate interactions he's had throughout his life, and look, I'm not trying to hear all that, man. I'm good. Really, I'm good. It's not a terrible song or anything, I just don't like the feature. Like I said, this album is near flawless. And Drips is the one reason I said near. Thank you all for taking the time out of your day to watch this. Your support, no matter how big or small, is always greatly appreciated. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I have a link to that in my description below. I'm pretty active on there. And with all that out of the way, I will see you on the flip side.